It's the early morning of July 14th, 1993. 8 days since the U.S. military sealed off approximately 1,000 square kilometers of Kentucky. 8 days of near total containment. But 8 days after today, despite all the tanks, soldiers, and quarantines, humanity will be effectively extinct. The culprit? A virus so deadly the only way to survive the first wave is by pure luck and chance. But for those few survivors, luck is hardly what they would call it. This is how you died, and it all started with an order at Spiffos. Project Zomboid is a hardcore zombie survival game set during the Knox event, a zombie outbreak in 1993 Kentucky that is at first contained, but eventually becomes a worldwide pandemic. You start playing the game a few days after the initial outbreak begins. Locked behind the quarantine of Kentucky, you can still listen to the rest of the world as it slowly falls apart. All of its lore comes from in-game TV and radio, and so does everything in this video. Early on into the Knox outbreak, as the infected sat hidden behind the military quarantine, the public ran rampant with speculation as to what exactly the Knox infection actually was. From aliens to terrorists, no one could seem to agree.
You're with Knox Talk, Catherine.
That new Spiffos restaurant just opened.
And you think it's connected?
It's in the meat. They've been feeding cattle to cattle. It's a European thing.
You think it's related to the BSE crisis? Mad cow disease?
There was a guy talking about it on Triple N. Guy wrote a book. Said it gets into your head. You eat burgers and it gets to your brain. My son worked in Spiffos before they let him go. You know how many he cooked a day? A lot. A whole lot. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks for your call, Catherine.
BSE or mad cow disease. If you didn't live through the 90s, I wouldn't blame you for not knowing what mad cow is. But I mean, come on, let's be real. You're watching a zombie lore video recommended to you by YouTube, so you probably know to some degree. But ever since its most prominent outbreak in England around the late 80s and early 90s, drastic measures have been taken to make sure it doesn't crop up again. But what exactly is mad cow? Let's let Project Zomboid's own Dr. Ensley explain, the man who actually wrote the book Catherine is talking about.
With me tonight is Professor Peter Ensley, who believes he has the answers.
I've been warning people for years. It's in the meat. We've been feeding our cows on their own kind. Misfolded prions. Brain matter fed back into the food chain. These prions have been building up in countless generations of cattle. This is quite clearly a neurological disorder.
You think this is linked to the mad cow crisis?
This is the mad cow crisis. Or at least the next step. We've all been ingesting it for years. Every trip to Spiffos, every pot roast. It's lain dormant, and now the Knox event has set it free.
In short, that's what mad cow is. A neurological disorder that cows can get from eating other cows or animals with the disease. The meat from said cow then becomes tainted, and anything that eats it thereafter can become affected to some degree with a similar condition. But mad cow isn't the only thing that connects these two radio interviews. In case you didn't notice, both times Spiffos is brought up, a prominent corporation in the Project Zomboid universe. But what exactly is Spiffos? Spiffos first opened its doors in the early 1940s as a fast food restaurant in Raleigh. Okay, that's what it's telling me online. In Raleigh, North Carolina. Moving forward into the years, Spiffos saw major success, slowly spreading across the entire country before going international, with chains opening as far as China and the former Soviet Union. A company like this has revenue in the billions, with influence to match. Think of it as a McDonald's of the Project Zomboid universe. Knox County is a perfect example of Spiffos' influence. The company sponsors everything from racetracks to TV programming. Even the official Knox County map is partially sponsored by Spiffos. And on top of that, almost every major urban population center in Knox County has a Spiffos restaurant, a very lucrative angle for those buying into the deadly meat theory. And it seems to some degree the public believed this theory too.
What am I doing? I'm panic buying. What does it look like? What happens next? That's just panic. It won't be pretty. These shelves will be empty, except for the meat. They say it's in the meat.
This caller squarely puts the blame on the meat, as did all the other calls previous. But that never really sat right with me. Something about the meat theory was off. What if it was never the meat? What if this whole time everyone's been looking at the right guy, just in the wrong place? Spiffos isn't just known for their burger meat. In fact, in their burgers, they have a secret sauce that everyone seems to love. What if Spiffos added something to their secret sauce, changing the formula of their beloved hidden recipe into something deadly? Listen to this VHS tape that can be found when looting homes in the game.
Spiffos Corporation has a secret it just won't tell anyone. A key ingredient in each of its burgers, Spiffos special sauce. Just what exactly are the components of this sauce? If they're safe, then why keep the recipe a secret? And is there any truth to the rumor that the sauce was changed just before the UK's BSE crisis began? Perhaps the Spiffos server should be asking, do you want lies with that?
So, this tape suggests that the special sauce at some point was changed. A rumor in conspiracy circles. I'd like to point out that the burger or Spiffos theory isn't the only one that people talk about. Over time, it becomes increasingly clear that the government has known how deadly the Knox infection was, even from the onset, and lied about the situation to either cover it up or to reduce public panic. Many theories, especially as the world falls silent, point the blame directly at the US government. But could the government really be capable of creating the Knox infection? Let's take a quick look at American history. It's the 1950s, San Francisco. U.S. Navy ships sit off the coast of the Golden Gate. The denizens of the city don't know it yet, but they are about to be exposed to millions, if not billions, of non-lethal bacteria, as the Navy tracked how a pathogen might spread throughout the city over the course of 7 days. No one was informed or consented, and at least one death could be attributed directly to this incident. Moving into 1953, the CIA would conduct one of its most infamous operations, MKUltra, creating dozens of shell companies that would be used as fronts to funnel money into universities and hospitals so that they could conduct psychological experiments on behalf of the CIA. Using LSD on students, hospital patients, and prisoners, sometimes with their consent, but most of the time without it. Then, in 1955, a sub-project of MKUltra was started, called Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA created safe houses in San Francisco and New York, and then hired sex workers to bring men to these locations to drug them with LSD. The purpose of the experiment was to study their behavior while under the drug in real-world uncontrolled settings. That's 3 different programs, all secret, all targeting civilians, and all denied or never publicly acknowledged until decades later when they were forced to admit it in front of Congress. So, the US government has a history of testing chemical and biological agents on its own citizens, although it's never been anything as deadly as the Knox infection. But the thing is, the Knox infection isn't the only outbreak that happened in Project Zomboid lore. In fact, Raleigh, North Carolina, the birthplace of Spiffos, experienced their own outbreak 3 years before the game takes place. Listen to this VHS tape.
This is Don Stevenson. We're going straight to downtown Raleigh, where Richard Gershwin is on the scene.
The morning has broken here on a terrifying scene. Fatal illness continues to spread through the community. The emergency services cannot cope. Hospitals are on lockdown. The flesh-eating EVNA infection is moving like wildfire. Panic in the streets and zero response from the promised military intervention. 50 new cases confirmed yesterday. That's more than was recorded in the entirety of the 1989 Libyan outbreak. So, 1 year later, why is this happening in North Carolina?
So, a deadly disease is running rampant in Spiffos' hometown, and most folks there are blaming the government, not only for its failure to respond, but for actually causing it. The thing is, I haven't shown you this tape in its entirety.
The finger of blame is being pointed squarely at government laboratories situated here in the Triangle area. The Center for Disease Control. 3, 7, 8, 9, 2, 8. Back to you in the studio, dog. WBLN, your news, your station.
It's almost as if the signal from the news station was interrupted by a different signal when this VHS tape was being recorded. It would be safe to assume that the number transmission came from Raleigh itself, as we were just listening to a reporter on the ground in the city. The numbers as we see them right now are meaningless, but the Raleigh outbreak isn't the only time this number set pops up. The full, uninterrupted transmission can be found in Knox County as you play the game.
3, 7, 8, 9, 2, 8, 0, 9, -8, 5, 9, 7, 4, 7, 0, 9.
This time, the numbers actually mean something, and when translated to longitude and latitude, they bring us to the Fort Knox airfield. The same broadcast, the same coordinates, the same destination. And buried in the game files, the message as we hear it in 1993 is labeled Classified M1A1. This is where it would most likely become a dead end, but Project Zomboid is a game still in early access, and as the updates come, so does more of the lore. If we look at one of the dev notes posted in 2023 for Build 42, a version of the game not fully released yet, we can see them demonstrate something called a fluid separator, and in this demonstration, they are breaking down Spiffos' secret sauce. And when broken into its base components, we get this. Substance RTMS M1A1. The same designation as the classified M1A1 broadcast in Kentucky, and the same coordinates being transmitted from Raleigh. We finally have our lost link. But if they are connected, then why is the Raleigh outbreak a flesh-eating bacteria and the Knox infection an airborne zombie virus? It's all in the name. Traditional US military naming doesn't just start with M1A1. The American main battle tank is the best example, as it shares the exact same designation as our Knox infection. The first production model of the tank was just called the M1. But as the years progressed and the technology became dated, a new version was needed, with new weapons and armors and systems. And that version would be called the M1A1. So, the substance that we see in Kentucky isn't the exact same one that caused the Raleigh outbreak. We are seeing the upgrade. The first virus in Raleigh would have just been called something like Substance RTMS M1, and so would the classified broadcast coming out of the region. And over the 3-year gap between Raleigh and Knox, the virus would be upgraded to a more lethal and infectious version. And that version would go from being called M1 to M1A1. The only problem with this theory is that the fluid separator shown in the demo earlier is, as of yet, not in the game officially, making the most damning piece of evidence in this investigation kinda up for debate as to whether it's actually canon or not. But me personally, I'm gonna take it for canon because I don't know, I like how, interesting this all is, and that's just my reason. So here's my final theory. In the early 80s, Spiffo, having grown to massive prominence, was used or worked with the government to test biological agents on the general population. Around the time of the Raleigh outbreak, They are believed to have changed the recipe to their secret sauce, but this was only a regional change to test the RTMS M1 substance. This test worked as intended, and that's why the government reacted so slowly to it. During this time, they began transmitting the coordinates to the Fort Knox military base from the Raleigh outbreak, and we can see this clearly in the VHS tape from earlier. Once the test was concluded, they contained the situation and wiped out the virus. 3 years later, they had developed a new strain from the original substance RTMS M1 and labeled it Substance RTMS M1A1. Trials were slated for Knox County, Kentucky, July 1st, 1993. But this time, the virus was much more difficult to contain and insanely deadly. Realizing this, the military acted quickly, quarantining the entirety of Knox County and downplaying the situation immensely. But this wasn't another Raleigh outbreak, and the virus, with the people it infected, broke containment and spread around the entire world before destroying humanity. And that's the truth behind Knox County, a revised strain hidden in sauce, born in Raleigh, perfected at Fort Knox, and unleashed through Spiffos, proof that this outbreak was never truly just an accident. It was the improved variant. And this is how you died. So thank you all very much for watching. When I was first asked to look into this theory, I kind of always scoffed at the Spiffos burger kind of thing because, you know, I thought there was very little evidence behind it. You know, obviously there were some hints here and there, but I viewed it more as a joke. But as I researched into this and dove into the topic, I really found just a lot of information that kind of corroborated everything that's going on. There is still a lot of reaching in this video, if I'm being completely honest with you. We have nothing concrete or solidative. We have nothing concrete or solid, but I would call this evidence pretty damning to some extent, at the very least. You know, from code names to outbreaks I never even knew existed. I had a lot of fun researching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So if you did, please subscribe, or I don't know, just write a hate comment, you know, something like that. All right, see ya.